Hey guys, it's Ivy. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about my November wrap-up, and in the month of November I read 9 books. I kept the same number that I read in October, which was really good. So I read 18 books in 2 months. So I got some books here that I really liked, and then I have some books here that I actually really didn't enjoy, which is disappointing because I heard a lot of hype about this series, so let's just get right into it. The first book that I finished is A Dance with Dragons by George R.R. Martin. This is the last book that is out in his series A Song of Fire and Ice. I started it physically reading, and then I got about 300 pages in, and then I picked up the audiobook because it's just such a dense book. The audiobook for this is 49 hours. I'm pretty sure this might be the longest book that I have ever read, and I ended up giving this a 4 out of 5 stars. The second book I read in the month of November is Daughter of the Burning City by Amanda Foody, and this is about Serena, who creates illusions, and her illusions become members of her family. Serena lives in Gomorrah, which is like the circus festival, and her illusions are there with her, and she wants to figure out who is starting to kill off her illusions. She wants to figure out who did this, and she feels like it wasn't an accident. Some people tried to tell her that it was, but she doesn't believe them, and she sets out on to discover who is the murderer and figure out the mystery through this. Some people describe this book as kind of a thriller, and I found it more like mysterious and thriller, but I also predicted who was going to be the murderer like early on, so that kind of like the shock wasn't there for me. So I ended up giving this a 3.75 out of 5 stars, and I enjoyed it, but it wasn't my favorite book that I read this year. Third on my list was Tower of Dawn by Sarah J Maas. This was a reread for me, and I listened to this on audiobook. The 7th book in the Throne of Glass series, which Throne of Glass is about a girl named Selena Sardathian who is in jail for being the world's most renowned assassin, and the crown prince comes to her in jail and says that he will take her out if she wants to fight in the competition for the king, and she says yes, and if she wins after serving the king for 2 years, she will have her freedom. And Tower of Dawn is the perspective of one of the characters, Chaol. This is a companion novel for the other book in the series, Empire of Storms, and in order to carry on with the series, you do have to read Tower of Dawn before you can read the last book, because a lot of information is dropped on you in this one that you're going to need to know for the last book. And I of course gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. And I picked up Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo, and I also listened to this one on audiobook. And I first read Six of Crows physically, and then I wanted to reread it, so I picked it up on audio, and I found out that I actually enjoy them a lot more listening to them on audio because it's a full cast of characters. And I really enjoyed listening to all of them. And I'll tell you what Six of Crows is about, because Crooked Kingdom is the second book. Six of Crows is about a group of outcasts who band together to go on this heist. It follows them to one of the most highly guarded cities. Crooked Kingdom is set in Leigh Bardugo's Grisha world, and if you haven't picked any of her books up, I really suggest that you do. Her characters is one of my favorite parts about her writing. The character banter is amazing. That's her best part about her writing, is that her characters are amazing and they're very thought out, and like it's like you know them. And so I gave this one a 5 out of 5 stars. And I picked up this anthology. It's called Kisses and Curses, which I got on Book Outlet for like $2, so that was pretty cool. But I bought it because Marissa Meyer and Leigh Bardugo were in here, but then it turned out when I got it that I had actually already read their stories. It's like one was included inside the Lunar Chronicles in the back, and the Leigh Bardugo story was included in the back of one of her Grishaverse books, so I already read it. But I decided to pick this one up, and it was kind of, I had to kind of push myself through it, because a lot of these stories are from short stories from other series that are already out, so it was, I don't know if that's what I had trouble with, but I had trouble connecting with the characters throughout these short stories, so I only gave this a 2 stars. Go ahead and talk about the next 2 books that I read together, and they were audiobooks. One being Days of Blood and Starlight, and 2 Dreams of Gods and Monsters. Days of Blood and Starlight I gave 2.25, and then Dreams I gave a 1 star. I actually really didn't like it, and it had nothing to do with Laini Taylor's writing, because I think her writing's really beautiful, and maybe I made a mistake listening to them on audio and not physically reading them. That could have been what happened, but I just couldn't connect with characters. I wasn't enjoying the angels. I got confused with the new characters that were coming in. I got lost on the plot, and I wasn't really sure what was going on, so I kind of had to push myself with finishing listening to that, and I was like, maybe it will be a really big finale that I will like want to try to read them physically, but it just, that series wasn't it for me, and it's really unfortunate. But I do want to read Strange the Dreamer, so I am going to be picking that one up. Then I read Invictus by Ryan Graudin, and I gave this one 4 stars. I enjoyed this. This is about Far and his friends who go on heists throughout history. They're hired to acquire these objects that were lost throughout history, and my favorite scene was when they went on the Titanic. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to give away like too much information for somebody who does want to read this book, but Ryan describes it as Doctor Who meets Firefly, and I never watched either of those shows, but I do want to start watching Doctor Who, because if it's anything like this book, then I'm really excited. And I did really enjoy this. It's different from most young adult that I do read, so I did have a fun time picking this one up. The book that I read was Leigh Bardugo's The Language of Thorns, and this is her short story collection of fairy tales based in her Grisha verse. I just love that she has this whole world built, like, and I just love getting deeper and deeper into it, and I really enjoyed this book. I'll open up to one of the illustrations. The illustrations are beautiful. They start off smaller and then they get bigger and bigger. Obviously I'm going backwards, but you get the idea. My favorite story in the book was The Witch of Duva. This is like a type of like a Hansel and Gretel retelling, but it has a huge plot twist, and I really enjoyed it. That was my favorite one throughout the entire series. I actually only gave this a 4.75. The thing that held me back from a 5 was the final story in this bind-up, which was When Water Sang Fire, and I actually thought I was gonna like that one the most because it's a mermaid retelling type fairy tale, and I was really disappointed because it was one of the longest ones in here, and I just couldn't connect. I could not concentrate on that one. Like I could not sit down and just immerse myself into that one, which was really unfortunate because with all the other ones I was really immersed into each fairy tale that she was telling. If you're wondering if you have to read all of her other books in order to read the fairy tales, you don't. You can read this one first if you want, but I feel like you're gonna get more enjoyment starting from the beginning with Shadow and Bone. Same with Six of Crows. Like, I personally think that you should start from the beginning and read Shadow and Bone, because then it's gonna make more sense to you. Definitely pick this one up. You will not regret it. This was the limited edition that we got with the Fairy Loot box. If you're lucky, your local Barnes & Noble still might have some signed copies from their Black Friday sale. So go check that out, because you might be able to get a signed copy of that. That was my November wrap-up. As you can tell, I had an up and down reading month. I had books that I really enjoyed, and then I had books that I really didn't enjoy. Let me know in the comments below what you read in the month of November. What was your favorite read? And if I haven't read it, if I should read it. And if you like this video, please subscribe and give it a thumbs up. Thank you for watching. Bye!